Friday, June 2nd, it must be time for another legislative update from your North Carolina Medical Society. Just like we told you last week, it's been a busy week on budget. The House has been working on nearly $23 billion spending plan this year to refocus the priorities of the state. And we have been very fortunate that, yet again, there is not a physician rate cut included in the House proposed budget. So there's no physician rate cut in the House budget. There's no physician rate cut in the Senate proposed budget. So we should be making it through this legislative cycle without facing a rate cut for the first time in a very long time. So we're very appreciative of that. The House budget does include significant changes, not only in HHS, but in education and in other spending areas compared to the Senate budget. If you go to the blog, as I direct you each week, you'll see a nice report that Sue Ann Forrest put together for you on the House budget, so you can see all the different provisions related to HHS that are in the House and how they're different from what was proposed in the Senate. So even though the House is passing their budget here at the end of the week, we can expect that the Senate is going to reject their proposal, and we're going to go into now what is called conference. And conference is when an appointed group of designees from the Senate and an appointed group of designees from the House get together in a back room and work out the details of how they come together and compromise on a budget that works for both chambers. When the compromise is done, and this is something that will probably take a week or two or maybe longer to work out, it comes back to both chambers. And when it comes back to both chambers, it is a pure up or down vote. So whatever happens in the deal making, that's the deal. We can't amend it anymore. We can't change it anymore. So some things that are going to be in conference, in controversy over the next couple of weeks. One is certificate of need. That has a lot of different certificate of need proposals in the Senate budget. It doesn't appear that they're going to be in the House budget. The balanced billing issue that we've had concerns about is in the Senate budget. It's not in the House budget. There are new spending investments in the House budget that are not in the Senate budget. So in HHS, there's going to be some significant play going back and forth there, along with the fact that they have significant differences in how much the chambers save, how much they spend on teachers, how much they spend on state personnel. So this is going to be a process that takes a little while, but like I said, it's going on behind the scenes. So in the meantime, there are going to be all these people sitting around twiddling their thumbs wanting to do other work. And what's that other work likely going to be? We have things like scope of practice to worry about. So I bring back to you again the optometry issue. The bill has passed, House Bill 36 has passed the North Carolina House as a study bill. It's over in the Senate. There are a group of people that are working very hard in the Senate to turn that bill into something other than a study and try to send it back to the House. So it's important that you continue to stay in contact with your personal legislator as a constituent conversation to talk about your objections to optometrists doing surgery without the proper training to do that. That's going to be important during this interim time while we're waiting for the budget to be finished. Everything appears to be going in such a way that once the budget is finished, we're probably going to go home. So we may be within just a few weeks of closing down this session. And so as we get closer to that time, we'll be giving you updates. But I think that's the biggest threat that we see out there. We still anticipate the STOP Act, the opioid restriction bill, to be coming back to the Senate for a vote, but we're not sure of exactly when that might be. And we'll also keep you updated on some of the other priorities that we see that might come up through our legislative blog. One last issue I want to talk to you about was in the bulletin this week. If you read the bulletin, great. If not, go back and look at it again. There was a second or third article in the bulletin this week was about the board retreat that just occurred, where the board came together and talked about what are we going to be doing in the future. And we've been very excited in the past few years to be anticipating changes in value-driven systems of care and the way team-based care was going to be updating. It's interesting now to see the board take the next step forward and look 5 years down the road and see what it is that we need. That article starts to lay out some of the things that the board identified, and I think you'll be excited to see what we're anticipating are the changes coming up down the road and where you and the society fit into leading the way in how we transform healthcare in the future. So take a look at that. Stay up to date. Be sure to look at the legislative blog while you're there and get an update, a full update on the House budget, more than what I gave you earlier in this talk. And we'll talk to you again next week. Have a good one.